Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there tonight. Had yourselves a wonderful day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. We now have Tropical Storm Erin, and Erin's not only forecast to become our first hurricane of the season, but a powerful major Category 3 hurricane. So we got a lot to get into. First thing we'll go over is what's going on with this system right now, the latest from the National Hurricane Center. And then we'll get into all model guidance and compare it all. We got a very interesting GFS run ongoing right now that I'm definitely ready to dive into with you guys. After that, we'll discuss the environmental background of the Atlantic and how it will eventually support a powerful hurricane once it gets into the southwest Atlantic. And then we'll discuss steering currents. Of course, everybody and their brother wants to know where this system is going. Is it just going to curve and go further out in the North Atlantic? Is it going to threaten land? Is it going to make a close pass? We're going to speak on all the scenarios and what potentially could drive this one way or the other. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put that in the comments below. So let's get rocking and rolling. Let's make sure this is going to work. And it is. We're good to go. Not going to stay on the screen very long. You're probably wondering, where's the actual tropical storm? Maybe some people are immediately thinking that's it, or maybe this. It's actually this right here. So we got that blow up of convection. It's very tight, just tightly organized. It's not very large. And you see just the blow ups of sort of reds and the blacks and whites embedded in that red. That is colder cloud tops, which means we have stronger convection, which leads to taller updrafts, and the taller up these updrafts get, the colder it gets in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and this is reflected by the colors you see on your screen. So this really isn't our tropical storm. That's just a lot of shower and storm activity. This is too, looks like almost an additional tropical wave coming off Africa. So this is our actual tropical storm right here. It's gained some latitude. And it's moved just further north, which is what I mean by it's gained some latitude. So it's actually in some colder sea surface temperatures. And the reason this is sort of just so tiny almost is because there's a lot of dry air around it. And I'm going to show you a better version of this, the water vapor loop, when we get deeper into the video and really discuss the environmental background and why it's so just tight right now. So we'll move off this and just that's our system. It's not super impressive right now, but this was pretty much the way it was modeled in the short to medium term. So we take a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center, and there it is. Kind of the green dot marks the spot here. So this is another version or another way to look at the cone per the National Hurricane Center. It's the same cone, but I love using this site during hurricane season. It's called Zoom Earth. It's like literally combining Google Maps with the tropics. So we can actually see peak intensity forecasts and all of that. So it's saying by the time we get into around, let's zoom into this, 2 a.m. tonight, this will be a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Then 2 p.m. tomorrow, 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. And let's just go on and fast forward to when it becomes a hurricane. As you can tell, there's not much strengthening Tuesday until Wednesday. But by the time we get into maybe early Thursday morning, this turns into a Category 1 hurricane, then a 90-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane. Then it's forecast to become a Category 2 hurricane, over 100-mile-per-hour winds by around Friday afternoon. And then already they are forecasting a major Category 3 115-mile-per-hour hurricane. Already. And I think this has a chance to become even stronger than that, like a Category 4. I'm not going to say Category 5. You need a lot to come together to get a Category 5 hurricane, but I definitely see a major Category 3. So that is the latest track. It's not going to go any further out than that. So, this is the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico right here. Right now, it takes the cone. Remember, this means that, this can potentially go down this way. It can kind of go over there. This isn't just where impacts are going to be. This is potentially where the actual center of the storm could go. Okay, so just remember that. All right, let's get this off your screen. Let's continue to keep rolling here. Let's go over all model guides. So we're going to start this all off with Wednesday morning, so the next 36 hours or so. So ignore the Zulu time and then look at the day of the week and then the actual date. So I'm going to forget to mention days of the week sometimes. There's a lot flowing in my head at one time, but this is Wednesday morning, August the 13th. So the Euro says this is still going to be a pretty weak tropical system at this point. In fact, it's still 1,007 millibar low, but this is a tropical storm. It's a tropical storm right now. So it's saying, hey, still a tropical storm status by Wednesday morning and not much strengthening between now and Wednesday morning. So we continue to move into Thursday. Still does not strengthen at all. You see how that Millibar number kind of stays the same. The more this drops, the stronger the system. And I think the euro could be downplaying the strength of this in the shorter term, but maybe not. I could definitely see this struggling, and I'll talk about why when we discuss the environmental background in the shorter term. So we get into Friday morning. It's 1,005 millibar low. So strengthening a little bit as that number begins to drop, and then we start to get into Saturday morning. Now keep in mind, the National Hurricane Center thinks this is going to be stronger than what the euro is showing at this point. National Hurricane Center thinks it'll be a hurricane by Friday afternoon. 996, in my eyes, is still a strong tropical storm, maybe a low in Category 1. But Euro has it northeast of the Leeward Islands at this point. Okay, and we're going to take this into about Sunday morning, and we definitely have a hurricane by Sunday morning based off the Euro run. So August 17th, this coming Sunday, 989 millibar low, Category 1 hurricane based off this model run. Now we flip it to this, get a little bit closer, we can see more of the Caribbean, the southeast coastline, etc., the Gulf. Where does the euro take this? Remember, Bermuda is this little speck right here. So we take it into Sunday, and look how that number begins to drop. So basically from Sunday morning, 989, to Monday morning, it's a 967, which means it undergoes some sort of quick intensification. Dare I say rapid intensification. I think if it is going to undergo RI, rapid intensification, it's going to happen here in the Southwest Atlantic, which is where this is. Okay, so we start to get into Monday morning. This is a 954 major hurricane at this point. But like I said, the National Hurricane Center has it at a major hurricane well before this point, like by Saturday. This is next Tuesday morning, 8 days from now. It tells you how long we're going to be tracking this, folks. I mean, for a while. Next Tuesday seems forever. Just so far away at this point, at least in my eyes, it does. So, you keep this going. We get into Wednesday. It makes a close pass to Bermuda, but still far enough away to not bring significant impacts. But it goes between Cuba and the southeast coastlines, a 956 millibar low, and then we get about 10 days out, and it begins to not only hook north, but begins to move a little bit further northeast and make that curve. It's a 957 millibar low at this point, major hurricane still, but it's missing Bermuda and the southeast coastline. Now we'll go on and flip it and move it up here because I do want to show some attention for my folks here in Atlantic, Canada, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. How close does the euro get it to you guys as we're getting at the end of next week? By the way, not this week, next week. Well, it's well off the coastline. The euro says you got nothing to worry about, but that's just one model run, right? What about the GFS? This is still running. And when I looked at this before I did this video, it looked very interesting. Let's see if it ends up being the case here. So, same thing, Wednesday morning. I think the GFS has it down a little bit more as far as strength. A little bit stronger, 1,003 millibar low, has this strengthening into a stronger tropical storm by Thursday morning, and has it a almost hurricane status by about Friday evening, 989. But even the GFS does not strengthen this as fast anymore. You look at the run prior, it had it at a 968 millibar low from the run this afternoon. The run this evening, much weaker. And if you've been tuning into my channel, at least I can't speak for what other people say, but I've been telling you, the weaker this stays for longer, the more trouble we're in, because this is going to strengthen inevitably. The weaker it is, the more it's going to drift further west, and I'll explain why here in a few minutes. Okay, but we'll take this all the way out into Sunday morning, and then that's when it begins to rapidly intensify. So north of Puerto Rico here, this is a 963 millibar low. That's a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. So let's flip it to this. Okay, so this run is new to me too. I haven't seen what this ends up doing. So at this point, it's close to where the euro has it. Okay, when does it recurve? The more this drifts west, the more trouble we're in. Okay, so we get into Monday. It's literally 6.5 days from now, right? 956 millibar low. This is definitely a Category 3 hurricane, at least at this point. Turks, Caicos Islands here, Bahamas here. It's kind of splitting between Bermuda and that. Okay, so we start to get into Tuesday. Very strong hurricane still. It's a 940 millibar low. I mean, that's stronger than a Category 3. That's probably getting close to Category 4 status. Maybe stronger, just based off this model output. But this is all the way, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. And it looks like it really begins to slow down on this run. So this is August the 20th. Bermuda, little speck right here, southeast coastline here. I want you to look at the run before I keep this run going prior to this. It was way over here. That is a massive, massive jump. but it's just one run. But in general, the trend, I mean, is this just a blimp? We'll find out when we do another video in the morning, right? But we keep this going, and it still curves. So it still splits the Carolina coastline and Bermuda here, and it looks like it just heads on out to sea. But man, does it get close right here. I mean, it is right smack in the middle of Bermuda and the southeast coastline. So I will take a look. How close does it get to our friends up in the northeast? And this misses the northeast too. I know you're probably thinking, look at that snow. Oof, I love some snow. But you know, you look at the GFS, how close does it get? Well, I mean, it recurves so fast, and we'll actually have to take a look at this. It's a crazy recurve. It recurves so fast that it doesn't even show up even close to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Oh yeah, it does. We just didn't let it run enough. So, sorry to be everywhere, guys. We're going to get this right. I just want to show some love from my folks here in Atlantic Canada. Where is this thing? I guess it's just the run has ran longer on this. So I do apologize for my folks up here. We're everywhere here. We are not in order. So yeah, it's just ran longer on this little panel here. So yes, this does get close to the southern coastline of Nova Scotia. It's a powerful hurricane. But this is as far out as I got this run. So it might go up and clip southeast Newfoundland. But I got you covered. I'm going to cover you guys too when the time is right. We'll get detailed. What about the Euro AI model? All right, it's hard to believe this thing will be this weak at this point. But the Euro AI model has it as only still a tropical storm this coming Saturday, August the 16th. But because it stays weak so long, it recurves late. But even this misses and takes more of a GFS route. Okay, so even though the GFS was a lot closer, it still technically didn't bother anybody. Now, what does the Canadian show? The Canadian, I haven't showed this, but I just want to show you all model, guys. The Canadian gets extremely close. It only goes 10 days out, but it gets tucked into the southeast coastline. The Icon only goes out 120 hours out, but it has a weaker system too. A weaker system is going to drift west. We don't want that. What about the Euro Ensemble here? What does it show? I'll tell you right at the dot, 90% of the members go out to sea. Okay, but we'll start off Saturday morning. Saturday morning, this system is probably right in here. You know, this makes up 51 members. It's going to throw all the members that form a low pressure on the screen, which is pretty much all of them. So you're going to see just a lot of L's, attack of the L's, right? But you can see how most of them turn north and then turn northeast. But, you know, what's interesting to me is they're all between Cuba and the East Coast. And those are some strong members. But it's crazy that just about all of them miss. Now, there's a couple stragglers that hit the North Carolina coastline. And Bermuda, you definitely need to watch for this. But we are just not out the woods yet. And there's a signal for more tropical wave activity down here. But I will tell you that it does look like a curve out to sea. Now, some people were making fun of me in the comments saying, how can you say it's a recurve when it hasn't even curved? And I thought about that, and I was like, you know, you're kind of right. But anyways, moving forward here, that's all model guidance. Now, what about the environmental background of the system? So this is the part that I try to make it a goal of mine to explain the best way I can. So in the short to medium term of this system, through basically this work week, this system, and this is the Euro, is going to battle against this big slug of dry air out ahead of it. So it's going to keep this thing sort of compact, but still protected with, you know, a moist environment. You mix that with the fact that this is probably going to be going over some, not cool sea surface temperatures, but not super warm either, like upper 70s, low 80s. You don't have like the rocket fuel of the Southwest Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean as far as sea surface temperatures out here. Okay, you know, sea surface temperatures in those areas I just mentioned are like in the mid to upper 80s, some areas low 90s. So this thing's going to be plowing through this dry air. And until it enters a better upper wind environment, it'll struggle. But then eventually it takes off, as you can tell as that number begins to drop, a deepening low pressure. So that's why I think it's going to struggle as it cruises across the northern areas of the main development region. It's just going to run right into that dry air, which is depicted here in the brown. And you can see it really well here. This is the water vapor loop. I mean, you can almost match it like for like, right, with what the actual Euro shows 36 hours from now and what it shows currently. But I mean, that's a huge slug of dry air right out in front of the system. And that is our tropical storm. So it's basically trying to plow right into that. So that's why it's probably going to struggle in the shorter, the somewhat medium term. Now, why does it explode so fast? Either we're having a little earthquake or my light just keeps bouncing back and forth, which is really annoying me. But we start off Sunday morning, right? And we'll go back to this. This is the Euro. You got a 989 millibar low. Low in Category 1 strong tropical storm. So why does it go from a 989 Sunday morning, August the 17th, to Monday morning, to a Tuesday morning, so 48 hours to a 954? So that would make it go from like a strong tropical storm, low in Category 1 hurricane, to a major hurricane in about 36 to 48 hours. Why does it rapidly intensify in this area right here so fast? The upper wind pattern is why. It just dramatically improves. So if we kind of go back to the same area, you got a 993 millibar low. And we'll go on and go to Sunday morning. 989 millibar low. So not a super strong low pressure, but definitely obviously one, right? So this is wind flow at 200 millibars, so 40,000 feet up in the air. So on this particular Euro model, you have a little bit of upper wind flow working up against this system. And what's wild is models showed this several days back too. A little bit of dry air getting entrained into the cyclonic rotation of the system. So a little bit of upper wind flow kind of going up against this system. But on this side, the upper wind pattern is actually improving dramatically. So you got a lot of air disbursement right here in this area. But a little bit of wind shear, I think, this system's going to have to deal with in this area, sort of north of the Leeward Islands. This will make a little bit of dry air getting into the system, and I think prevent it in this little time frame from rapidly strengthening initially. Okay? Now, what changes? Okay? You start to move, and watch what happens here. We get into Tuesday morning, and this thing is now thriving. Okay, now you have an environment that supports a lot of air being just thrown out away from the actual mid to low level cyclonic circulation of the system. Still got this little feature right here. Okay, maybe trying to hit the system a little bit with some wind shear. But in general, you have an expansive area of divergence aloft on top of the system. Basically, air is being pushed out away from the system, allowing for more air to rapidly rise through the system. That gets pushed away, and it basically allows for an environment to support the firing and sustaining of convection. Convection is shower and storm activity. We know if this system's firing off a lot of convection, then it's got a nice moist environment because of that rain basically falling and all the convection firing. So we know that tropical systems like a tight, moist environment around the low-level circulation of the system. So therefore, if this thing is compact with moisture around the heart and soul of the system, which is that low-level circulation, it'll give the system an opportunity to rapidly intensify. So I just think that once it gets into this area in general, guys, that the environment is going to support a lot of light flow aloft. Therefore, this sort of creates its own environment that supports a lot of air being dispersed out away from the system. It basically creates its own exhaust system, if you will. But it's just wild how fast this system can potentially take off in this area. Another reason why it does, and I didn't have this pulled up, I don't know why, I'll do it here on the fly, is that if you look right here, these sea surface temperatures here, 29, 30, 31 degrees Celsius, this system is probably going to go right through this area right here. So when you convert 29, 30 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit, that's mid, upper 80s. Some cases, I think you're probably got a sea surface temperature, maybe close to 90 degrees out here. So you got rocket fuel for this thing to work with as far as the warm sea surface temperatures out here and things like that. So continue to move forward. The last thing we'll discuss is steering currents. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. I'm sorry I keep going back and forth, but my light is irritating the mess out of me, bouncing back and forth above me. So not every video is going to be nice and crisp. That's what I strive for, but not everyone will. But if you look here at the 500 millibar steering currents, basically the pink the reds, kind of the muted color of red here. So let's draw on this a little bit. This is the actual low pressure itself, right? This is some ridging. This is some stronger ridging showing up in the red here. The flow around this ridge is going like this. You can see the wind barbs kind of with the flag pointing that way. That means the flow is coming from that way. So the flow is kind of like doing like this, and on top of the system is kind of going like that and like this. So our low pressure, which is right here, is being steered that way, east to west, right? So you think, well, this thing's going to head right into the Caribbean or the Gulf. Well, watch what happens here. Two things happen here. If this thing begins to strengthen, strengthening low pressure is always going to want to fight to gain latitude. It's going to want to get poleward. It's just going to want to get north. So it doesn't matter how strong the ridging is on top of it. Now, it does matter, but it's still going to try to inch north even with strong ridging. Now, I think a couple things happen here. One, the system is strengthening, right? So as it does, it's going to begin to curve north a little bit. Two, it looks like we get a break in the ridge right into here. Now, it looks like we have a repositioning of the ridge a little bit and a breaking of the ridge a little bit. So we get a stronger high pressure over here, over the U.S., and a stronger kind of Bermuda Atlantic high over here. Our tropical system, which is right here, sniffs out that weakness and then begins to feel that weakness and then turn north. Okay, that's pretty much what happens. And I think it's a combination also, you know, this trough could be digging down here from the north and breaking this ridge up a little bit. It could be more so because the system gets so strong. And in my opinion, the ridging on top of this system is not that strong. It's weak. So, you know, a lot of people are saying it's more so the repositioning of ridging over here, and it kind of splits as the system emerges. But guys, I'll be honest, I almost think it's more so the strength of the hurricane that just kind of makes a way, and a stronger system. I know I speak like this thing is like a human being out here alive in the ocean, but a strong hurricane is going to find that weakness. It's like the ridge is like a brick wall, and there's like very small cracks in that brick wall. But a strong system is going to find those little vulnerable cracks and try to bust right through them. Now, some other people might describe that in a different way or might not agree, but I think it's just a combination of everything. The ridge kind of repositions itself, but I think a lot of it is just because it's a strong storm system. And even though this ridge on top of the system, like right here, looks strong, and it is, and it could weaken. It looks like it does weaken, but that right there, like in this area, that is not super strong. That's this little weak ridging right here. That's weak sauce. It's not going to prevent this from turning north. So now if you had something like you see this dark red over here, like over portions of like North Africa and getting into the Mediterranean Sea and all that stuff, maybe if you had like something like this over this area, then it would probably make this, or even like some higher pressure right here over here, it would probably make this have a harder time turning. But I still think it would turn north a good bit. So hope that makes sense, guys. That's all I got. Seems like we worked through that video a lot faster than we normally do. But looks like we were just able to scoot through the information faster. But sorry for the little bit of distractions in this video. If you're a new viewer, my stuff is not edited or anything like that. I just do it all on the fly. And it's definitely more of a personal thing. You're not going to get any kind of robotic stuff here. It's just me talking about what I love with the weather. So you're gonna hear an occasional dog barking in the background, maybe one of my kids in the other room. I definitely am doing this in my kids' playroom. So when I look this way, I look at a bunch of toys. And yeah, so if you're new, you should have saw my video backdrop about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was just doing it in my bedroom. So but anyways, enough of all that. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. I feel like we're missing something because we're ending this video so early, but we're not. So that's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you in the morning.